Today we're going to talk about the new ex-boyfriend recovery offering called the Inspire His Desire program. Now I'm going to level with you. I really am not a huge fan of promoting things in general. Naturally, I feel like I'm a very creative person and I like the creation part of creating products, and I absolutely despise the selling part of creating products. So I thought when it comes to promoting, I guess, one of the new offerings that we are offering in our business, I thought I'd try a little bit of a different approach here. And that's to have an honest conversation with what I was trying to do with this program. And if you think it's something that you're interested in, then by all means, use the link in the description of the YouTube video you're watching this from to purchase it and give it a try. If you're not interested in it, then you don't need to watch this video at all. Or if you do feel like you're kind of on the fence, then I do highly recommend that you watch this video. But I want to do something that I feel like a lot of people who create products and sell them digitally don't do nowadays, and that's have an honest conversation about what they were trying to accomplish with the product. So I first came up with the idea for Inspire His Desire a couple of years ago. As you know, I am the founder of ex-boyfriend recovery and ex-girlfriend recovery. Now, the problem with ex-boyfriend recovery necessarily is the fact that we are in a niche, the breakup niche, that is often looked at as people who frame themselves as gurus trying to take advantage of others and take their money, essentially. So the idea is a lot of people look at ex-boyfriend recovery not as this opportunity for growth that you can have after a breakup, but more so as this potential scam. Now, for those of you who actually go through our program, you'll learn really revolves around the concept of attachment styles and giving you the tools and surrounding you with a community that can help veer you towards more secure pastures. And really though, with the Inspire His Desire program, I noticed that a lot of our products are dedicated to exes. So anyone who comes to our website is most of the time coming because they're going through a breakup. But I wanted to create a product that was not only an overlap for people going through breakups, but could be used by someone who's not going through a breakup and is just having trouble in their love life, attracting the right type of person. Now, what is the right type of person? Well, in my mind, the right type of person is someone that you can have a serious long-term relationship with. Most of the time with the end goal being marriage. If you're a female and that's not what you're looking for, then the Inspire His Desire program is not going to be good for you. But what I was trying to accomplish was actually have a real detailed look at what we have noticed from breakups and from our clients who aren't trying to get exes back, but are simply just trying to find quote unquote the one. What's actually working for those people? And so I wanted to do something different with the Inspire His Desire program, and the fact that the program in and of itself is a highly valuable produced video course that I believe is 31 parts. And it's really ideal for all kinds of women, but specifically women who are feeling absolutely worthless when it comes to making men desire them. Women who are getting rejected by the one guy whose opinion really matters to them. Women who seem to be always attracting the wrong sorts of guys. Women who are wondering how to make a guy fall in love with them. Women who are afraid that the guy they love will find someone better than them. Women who find that men always seem to lose interest in them. Women who want to make it so that a man only thinks about them and no one else. Women who feel confused when they deal with emotionally unavailable men, and women who are dealing with men that completely ignore their texts and calls. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of an overlap here between many of our clients who are going through breakups and many people who are just having trouble finding the right type of guy. And really, I wanted to attack this problem in 3 different ways. I wanted to look at it from a scientific perspective, I wanted to look at it from an internal perspective, and then I wanted to look at it from an external perspective. So with specifically the science perspective, there's a few handful of theories and ideals that I wanted to talk about. The first one was actually taking on one of the most controversial topics, which is what actually science has to say about your looks. And kind of I'll give you a quick spoiler alert here. Believe it or not, looks do not matter anywhere near as much as you actually think they do. So I have a whole section based on that. And of course, I dove into attachment styles. You know how there's like the 2 main categories of attachment styles, the secure attachment styles and the insecure attachment styles. Really though, what we wanted to look at was this combination between the anxious and the avoidance, because this is the most common pairing that we see in our coaching practice. It's what we have the most experience with. And just by simply looking at what works in that really volatile situation can give us some insight into what potentially potentially is working or not working when you're having trouble with men. And of course, one of the big things that we learned between those anxious and avoidant connection concepts is the idea of secure attachment gravity and how that works. And then of course, one of the most famous things that I'm known for is my 11 factors of love. Basically, I went through a bunch of research that researchers and scientists were looking at what are the main factors of love. They found that there were 11 of them, and I basically go through each of those 11, and you kind of look at it like a checklist. So that's sort of the science aspect of desire, but I wanted to go a little further and talk about something that I feel like is probably going to be undervalued when you look at the Inspire His Desire program in general, but it's this idea of getting your mind right internally. And so I've been calling it sort of the internal components of desire. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of things that you need to kind of get right in your life before you can attract the right type of guy. Now, I'm not really a big believer in the law of attraction or things like that, but one of the things that I do like that they propagate is this idea of making sure that you're in a safe and confident headspace. And so for those of you who are lacking confidence in your love life and who maybe just need a swift kick in the butt a little bit on how to get your mind right, this is the perfect section for you. And I talk a little bit about the I choose philosophy. This is a new component I've never talked about before, but the way it works is a lot of times I feel like women, when they're dating men, allow men to choose everything. So, and they don't even have any agency over their own love lives because they allow their own sphere of influence to choose for them. You can't date this type of person. You can't date this type of person. Well, I'm trying to get people to realize, no, it's not you choose, it's I choose. And so you need to kind of come up with this with an I choose mentality. Then of course I'm going to talk a little bit about the fact that, look, in all of our research, the women who seem to do the best when it comes to re-attracting men or attracting men in general are the women who are willing to play chicken, if you will. So they're willing to literally lose the guy to get the guy. And if they're not really authentically willing to lose the guy, that's where your training, quote unquote, needs to begin. You need to be able to get to that place emotionally where you're willing to lose the guy. And then of course we talk a little bit about this idea of the Holy Trinity and how this can impact your life even outside of your love life, and how looking at health, wealth, and relationships and setting major goals in each of those areas is important for your development as a human being. And then also finding your magnum opus within the Trinity. And of course, learning to fail forwards, because one of the things that I feel like a lot of women that we see come through our program, one of the ways they fail is they're always expecting positive results. And it's easy to understand why. They spend money on a program. They're thinking, okay, if I just do everything this program says, I'll get the results. But success is not often like that. If you ever looked at the stock market, it's a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Even when it's going up during a bull market, as an example, you'll notice there's quite a few downturn times. And it's important that you need to learn how to process failure the correct way, because you're not going to always have an easy way. But of course, all of that stuff is not anything external that you can do. And the sexy stuff is the external stuff, if you really think about it. Most of the times, people who buy programs like Inspire His Desire are expecting to tell you the 3 secret texts that get a response from a man every single time. But what we found is those are the things that don't really matter in the long run. What really matters are, when it comes to external things, having just the correct framework that you're working from. So what we really talk about is this idea of how desire gets created, and how desire really gets created is it exists in space. Desire only can occur if you give someone enough space. And this kind of harkens back to the attachment styles, and how if you're an anxious attachment style person, you need to learn to give the avoidant attachment style a little bit more space before they can even learn to desire you. But of course, I'm going to talk about my famous concepts of the value ladder and the value chain a little bit more in depth. And of course, the 738-55 rule. We'll talk about texting formulas. So specifically, we've come up with a texting formula, not necessarily that you can use as sort of like a Bible on like, hey, use this text in this situation. We found actually that's counterproductive a lot of times, because everyone's situation is so unique. It's impossible to assign a text just for them. But we have come up with a formula of best practices. And usually, generally speaking, if you follow these best practices, you end up in a better place emotionally, and you start having better results. We talk about how to locate high points in conversations and how to end the conversation. We talk about phone call formulas and how you handle phone calls. We talk about the importance of you mastering tactical empathy. And if you don't know what tactical empathy is, I highly recommend you go to our YouTube channel, do some searches on it. It's really worth your time to figure that concept out because it's really undervalued. And if you're able to do it properly, you can actually have a guy who's not interested look at you and be like, wow, she gets me more than any of the other people that I'm talking to. And of course, probably the thing I'm most proud of is this idea of the F.O.R.D versus the EPIC method, which is literally the types of conversations that you're having in order to create meaningful conversations. We always talk about that word meaningful. Well, how do you create meaningful conversations? A lot of times you're using F.O.R.D based things. And if you don't know what F.O.R.D based things is, I'm not going to give you that just yet. What we're going to try to teach you is you need to use the EPIC method instead of the F.O.R.D method. Again, that's a little bit by design because I want you to actually purchase the program, if I'm being honest, and I don't want to give everything away for free. But we're going to talk about how you do a social media makeover on your social media profile. We'll talk about what you need to do on dates. We're going to talk about why it's important that you actually date other people instead of the guy that you're actually interested in. And then we're going to actually talk about how you have this conversation on gaining a commitment. And in all, that is the Inspire His Desire program in a nutshell. I made it sound super easy, but it's very nuanced and complicated. And you're not just getting a video course, you're also getting a couple of other things with it. So if you purchase the Inspire His Desire program, you're going to get access to a 31-part highly produced video course that I spent well over $3,000 or $4,000. I can't remember the end amount. Basically hiring a video editor to properly produce this program. You're also going to get access to transcripts. So if you're anything like me and you like to read and listen at the same time, I've actually produced transcripts of exactly everything that I said, so you can follow word for word of what's happening in the video course. And if you're anything like me and you also sometimes don't have the chance to sit down and read, but you do like to listen while you're at the grocery store or something, I'm just using my own life as an example, and you just want to plug the headphones in and go, I'm also going to give you access to the audio course version of the Inspire His Desire program. And then finally, you'll get access to a special 25% discount on your first one-on-one coaching session. So sometimes people who are going through the program who are having trouble with their love lives feel like they need a more personal touch. Coaching is probably the best thing that we can do to give you that personal touch. But of course, a lot of times people can't afford it. So this is our way of sort of giving you a little bit of an incentive and making your life a little bit easier by giving you a special 25% discount on one-on-one coaching if you want to coach with me or one of the ex-recovery coaches. And that's it. That's basically the Inspire His Desire program. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of promoting. I just like to talk about things honestly. And my goal with this program ultimately was just to give women the tools and help them realize that the way they're looking at trying to get a commitment from someone, they're looking externally when they should really look internally first. And this whole program is all designed to help you learn how to do that, give you the tools to succeed. Now, if you're interested in purchasing the Inspire His Desire program, it's only a one-time payment of $47. That's it. You'll get access to all of that stuff that I talked about before. If you're watching this on YouTube, I highly recommend you just go ahead and look in the description link below this YouTube video to get access to the Inspire His Desire program there.